All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week number 76. My name is Mr. McLogan, and this is Open Live Q&A. Congratulations to the class of 2021, as well as to everybody else that finished off the school year. I think that this year is, or at least this live stream needs to be dedicated for all of you for finishing off a year well done. And that is what I wanted to come across today is let you guys know. You can see that I have changed up the background just a little bit. There's some things I am working on as I am preparing for next year and more live streams, wanting to up things up and change it up a little bit. So you will see me kind of playing around with some things and testing out some new, backgrounds and having a little fun with some new videos. And, that's really all due to, kind of 2021, like how this year has really made us adapt. And I think it's really important for all of you to not focus on how bad this year has been, how hard and difficult it has been to adjust, but really to kind of think about what is the best that you can take away from this year, because it has been a tough year. It has sucked. And I think that there's really nothing we can do that is going to, I don't know, really put things into context for on there. So I do welcome all of you guys for coming in. Hello, Melinda and Achille. And let's see, Simp Young and Charles. And do you know Dewey? Thank you twice. And Emilio. Who is that? Jonah and Kusar. It's great to have you guys on. Thank you so much for joining me on, because I know most of you are now done with school. I do have my nephews, I think, have one more week left of school. But I know a lot of people, we finished up actually last week. But this week was the last, we had like 1 day of school for teachers. So I didn't really feel like it was official last week. So that's why I didn't do this as a live stream last week, because I feel like once I'm done with school, then I can start talking about it. And I know for a majority of you that might still have a couple more weeks left in school, you're kind of getting into that range as well. 1 million bus. That's right, Charles. I'm almost there. Hello, Mr. Gunn. Thank you much again. You are very welcome, Alex. Happy to be able to help you out. I do not know Klingon. Or do you type something in? I do not. I went into, actually, Justin, I went to a translator, because I used to, back when I had more time, I think before I had kids, when students would type in my channel and post comments in different languages, then I would literally look up the translation if I didn't already recognize it, and then I would respond to them based on their, whatever native language. Unfortunately, this year has just it's taken a toll on me as well. One of my, I think, favorite things that I used to do would be every night respond to comments on YouTube. Every night I would respond to comments on YouTube. I loved it. It was always interesting to see some of the comments that people would post, but it was also very nice. It was also very gratifying, to see how my videos, might have helped students and changed them. But this year it's been difficult. I was barely keeping my head above water, just teaching, my own students. So it was a difficult one for sure. But I have summer school. Yeah, that was one thing I was going to talk about, was summer school, from on this. But, I think it's very important that we not dwell on what went wrong this year, but really kind of look at, how we've grown from the year and look into how is next year going to be. And again, it doesn't matter if you graduated this year or if you graduated, college, university, or you graduated last year. Again, take away like the impact that a year like this has happened, if you're in school or not, and just kind of see how you've adjusted, how you've come from this, and how are you going to take that into the next year. And I think that's a really, really important thing that I want to all of you to really kind of contemplate and reflect upon as we enter. Because, whenever people talk to me about the new year, I always, as a teacher, I don't look at things of like 2021 or 2020. I always look at things in terms of school years. So in my mind, whenever August hits, that's the brand new year, right? Well, in reality, we're like July, right? But I don't really consider July because, at least in my school, no school. But, once that kind of starts, it's like, game on, right? And it's like, how am I going to game up my prepared, my preparation for the upcoming year? And that's one thing I want to offer to you guys. I think it's great to offer congratulations. I think in the in the description, and I talked about my email today that I sent out. That I think there's a lot of congrats that you guys need to take into this, and I made a nice little video that I think just kind of like summarizes some things that I want everybody to take away from this year, and really just kind of like really take away from like any school year of always just like improving yourself, but don't dwell on that. I mean, it's time to move on from there, and make the most out of you can each and every year. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted you guys to, why I wanted to make this video today was is kind of really to cap off the end of the year and to say, all right, this is it. We're going to finish off this year, because moving on from now on, at least on my channel, I'm going to be focused on my streams for getting you guys prepared for next year. And I know some of you guys are going to be done with school. Some of you might be just getting on with my stream, or just getting used to these live streams or my channel. And that's what I'm going to do, is start preparing a lot of these live streams for you guys taking school next year. So, but I really don't actually have any major content that I want to talk to you guys. I did make the new video, which is on my channel. It's also in the description if you're interested in it. It's not a amazing video that I had, but it was fun really to kind of write. I did write it in one of the days. We kind of had a little bonus time. I took some time and wrote it, and there's some definitely, I think, some really important points to it, and I think it's very beneficial for you guys to kind of reflect on, especially the year that we've had. I think it was really important for me to put that down on put my thoughts down on a sheet of paper and make a video, because every year I always have thoughts and reflections that I want to talk about, but I just kind of like leave them to myself. I don't make videos on everything, but this year I felt that it was really important for people to hear some of the things that I thought about. And so if you're interested, feel free to check it out, and hopefully you can gain something from it. Or maybe not, I don't know. But I thought it was important enough for me to make the video for you guys. I'm going to school you also. Well, you are very welcome. I did get a 60. Well, I'm happy to help you, Clouds. Hannah, you've helped me so much. You're very welcome. The air of a red suit. Well, you're going to need to find the potham from there. I'm graduating the year 2024. That's cool. I am not familiar. Oh, okay, McLogan. Oh, thank you, Justin, for that clarification. I am not a Star Trek fan, so I have to start my college application this summer. You got this. You got this. I know it's kind of like overwhelming, the college application process, but don't hold everything to it. Just put in the time, put in the effort, and get those out there. I mean, you need to put it out there ASAP. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I greatly appreciate that. And you just do my matrix question. I did. I mean, that was your. I did. I love vaping. I'm not sure what I really understood as far as your question. You gave me the identity, matrix, or the reduced row echelon form. So I'm not really sure what you wanted to clarify on that. Unfortunately, if I don't know the answer to the question, I won't delete. But I mean, when you wanted to like define the matrice, basically looking at how many rows times how many columns, and that's going to be it. That's how you would classify your matrice. So I'm not really sure if that is it, or if that's exactly what you were only asking me for on that. But that's what I took away from your question. But my exam on Thursday, can you help me solve a problem? Sure. Complete and square. Charlie, send it over. I only got 2 questions, so we're going to knock this one out pretty easy, which is awesome. We might have a early one. And yeah, so typically, guys, if this is your first stream, joining me on there, if you guys do have questions, I will be going live each and every week throughout the whole summer. I know some people are done with school, and the last thing you probably want to be doing is doing more math, which I totally understand. But let me throw in a little bit of advice. I think it's always good to stay current. So maybe if the only thing math that you're doing is my live streams, that might be beneficial to you. But I definitely recommend for those of you that are doing summer school or maybe just want to stay current, feel free to always add in questions to you guys. If you go into, actually, I think I still have it pinned, right? Or did I not pin anymore? It's not pinned anymore? What did I do? I guess I stopped it being pinned. That's not good. All right. If you guys go in, I will actually pin the question from here. Now I gotta go and find it. All right, that's annoying. For the stylist. But anyways, you guys can go ahead and submit your questions. Each and every week, I go ahead and answer them. If I do not get to your question, you're like, hey, I really need some kind of help, feel free to guys to go into the Discord server where you guys can always post your questions anytime during the week. We have tutors, we have people that are available to answer your questions. If you want to become a tutor on Discord or if you want to be able to help people, there's an application process for that as well. So I definitely recommend, guys, if you are learning into like upping your game in math, definitely look into, working a little bit, maybe if it's 1 or 2 days during the week, try to do something to get that done. I think that's something that's very helpful for you guys to be staying current. And as well as if you want to also answer some questions for people inside of the Discord server. That's a great way for you to kind of, if you just took Algebra 2, answer some questions in Algebra 2. Try to stay current with what people are doing. If you are working into calculus, or if you're going into calculus next year, take a look at the calculus threads. See what questions have been posed and how people have answered them. Get a little bit familiar with what you are doing. It's not required, right? I mean, you're obviously not required to be on this live stream, right? But if you're looking into upping your game, if you're looking into making sure that you are as well prepared as you possibly can be for next year, those are some things you guys can definitely do. And again, it doesn't have to be my server or my YouTube channel. Obviously, I'm talking about those because they're my own. But, there's definitely other math, servers out there. There's definitely other YouTube channels that are out there. But I think if you can do anything to kind of, however you feel that is like the easiest way to be engaged and to stay intact with a little bit of what you're learning and what you're supposed to be learning, I think is going to work out for you in the long run. All right. So, is geometry hard? It all depends. I love how you call your kids out in your videos. Yes, Rebecca, I don't mean to do that on purpose. I guess I do. I mean, that was the, I think I've evolved as a teacher. Most of the times when I'm calling out my students, those were my early years. I think when it was a little bit more difficult to kind of control the classroom. And I don't really have as much of an issue, within the more recent years. But just because I have a better command of the classroom and how the flow of my instruction is supposed to go. But yes, I always do. I do love and appreciate her for that as well. All right. Can you unban me? That's not good if you need to be unbanned. I'm not sure how you got banned, but that's good. Not good. All right. Do you have any tips on solving the identities, trig identities? Sometimes hard for me to know where to start. Yeah, Clifford, it is. That's a great question. I only have 2 questions. Let me go and see if anybody submitted anything to my Google chat. But yeah, guys, the trig identities, that's tough. I mean, there's not like a great easy way to get around trig identities. My best advice to you would be practice, and probably just a little more practice. I mean, there's some little tips I can definitely, cover with you. Some things that we look at that I think are just like general from there. But I mean, if I'm really going to try to separate my advice to you compared to what you could see in a textbook or read online, would be to practice as many identities as you possibly can. And it's really easy to, practice with the ones that you have the answers to, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense to practice problems that you don't know how to solve, right? But practice ones that already worked out for you. That's the best way to do it. All right, I'm actually going to go into the Google form, see if anybody has submitted any questions that I can actually add to my chat, because I only have 2. It's kind of light, which I totally get. I mean, it's a Sunday during the summer, so totally fine. But yeah, the dimensions of the matrix I love vaping is a 4x4. So that would be the dimensions of your matrix. All right, some other people have posted some questions. Let's see if these are good. I need to look at that one. Sorry, I'm not sure who sent this. Nathan. Sorry about that, Nathan. I just need to look at that a little bit further. I don't want to go over that on my live stream. And Charlie, I don't know the x-coordinate part of this familiar of the question. Oh, there's your completing the square. Wait, in the form, state the x-coordinate of the turning points and the y's. Okay. So there's my completing the square question. You found it. All right. All right. Here we go. So, do you think you're the smartest mathematician? Absolutely not. I am not a smart mathematician at all. I just do a lot of math problems, and that's basically it. I'm no different than many of you. I struggled with math when I was in high school. I struggled with math when I was in college. I worked very hard to get my college degree in mathematics, and that's it. And I've spent a lot of time teaching mathematics. So that is how sometimes when you see my explanations and you're like, oh, you teach it so easy, or like you understand, or you know what you're doing. Well, yeah, I mean, guys, that's like, for many of you, like riding a bike, you're like, oh wow, have you always been like so good at riding a bike? It's like, no, but I mean, if you ride a bike every single day, you're gonna look pretty good and pretty easy and pretty natural at it, right? And again, most of the math that I deal with is in the high school in the high school sphere, which is just like a sliver of what is actually out there in terms of like mathematics, So, and that was a cool thing. Like once I get into college, I realized like, oh my God, I felt smart, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, I actually know nothing. And that was a very humbling effect to like think you knew a lot of math, being like a college, high school mathematics major. And then you're like, the more you knew, it was like the more you don't know. The more you realize you don't know. And it was just like one of those weird, amazing feelings. You're like, wow, there's so much more to learn. And it was really cool. All right. Do you ever go word problems? I typically do not do a lot of word problems just because they take a lot of time. I went to Western Michigan University. Yes, I make a lot of dumb mistakes as well. Sometimes I make them online. I apologize for that. All right. Is American math the same as Canadian? I do not know. I've never been to a Canadian university. You are very welcome, Milo, for getting you through this year. I am so happy that you passed. Good for you. And Joshua, passed my math culture videos in Hawaii. I watched some of them, practice problems, and helped me through solving questions. Well, awesome, Joshua. Happy to help. I need help. How to master trigonometry, Euclidean. Well, send it over, and I'll see what I can be able to do for you guys. All right. So we'll keep this live stream a little bit shorter than some of mine. Usually I typically go an hour. But let's go and get to these 3 questions, and then maybe if I have another extra question here for you guys, I will go ahead and address that. Okay. So this question says, and then I'll get to your chat, guys, as well, if you guys do have any other additional questions. So what is the simplified of the expression above? So I'm assuming this expression just needs to be simplified. And typically when we're thinking about a simplified expression, we're looking for terms to be combined, all right? Like terms to be combined. So if you guys go ahead and take a look at this, when we're looking at terms to be combined, what we're looking for is similar variables. And if they have a power, then the powers have to be the same as well. So the base and the power would have to be the same for them to be combined. So all of these right here, if you look at these, actually, let me zoom this in. If you look at this y and this x, you can see that these all have technically a power of 1. So if there's not a 1 there, you can consider them being raised to the power of 1. So in terms of the y, I have a 3y and I have y cubed. Well, there's nothing really I can do with those. So there we go. So I'm just going to leave that as a 3y and plus a y cubed. Now with the x's, there's something I can do here. Because here I have an x to the first, x to the first, x to the first. Right? So that's going to be a 3x to the first. Right? So that's plus a 3x to the first. But then I also have a minus a 2x to the first. Right? So x plus x plus x is 3x. And then your minus 2x. Well, 3x minus 2x is just going to be x. So my final equation is a 3y plus y cubed plus x. And there you go. Question number 2. In the unit circle, as the value of theta goes from 0 to 3 pi halves, the value of sine, I'm not really sure what this question is actually asking me. So I guess I'll just answer the question from 3 pi halves. So here is the unit circle. Okay. Hopefully you recognize halfway around the circle is 180 degrees, which is the same thing as pi. Okay, so then this is half a pi, which would be pi halves, and this would be 3 pi halves. All right, now this is the unit circle. So the distance from the origin to each of these points here, that's 1, 0. That's 0, 1. This is negative 1, 0. And then this point is 0, negative 1. Okay, so when we're asking for what is the sine of 3 pi over halves, which I'm not sure if that's what the student was asking, but hopefully it is. So sine of 3 pi halves, that's going to represent the y-coordinate of this angle. So 3 pi over halves in standard form is right here, and the y-coordinate here is going to equal negative 1, and that needs to be halves. I can feel my voice actually already starting to go out. There you go, negative 1. It doesn't look like negative 1, does it? There you go. All right, question number 3. So question number 3 says 3x squared minus 6x plus 12. So we want to write this or express this in the form of a times x minus h squared plus k, which is our vertex form, and then state the x-coordinate of the turning points, which would be at the vertex, and the y-intercept. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do in this case, let's set this equal to y, because this is an equation. So 3x squared minus 6x plus 12. All right, so there's a couple different ways we can do this. I think let's do this. Typically, whenever we're completing the square, we don't want anything in front of this x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by 3. I'm going to do it this way. So we do y divided by 3. And that's going to equal a x squared minus 2x plus 4. Okay. Now I can complete the square. So again, to complete the square, all we're going to do is we're going to take our middle term, which is b, negative 2, divided by 2 and square it. So we have y divided by 3 is equal to a x squared minus 2x. And now what we're going to do is we're going to find the value c that completes the square. So that's negative 2 divided by 2, which is negative 1. Negative square root is a positive 1. And then what I'm going to do is instead of adding that to both sides, I'm going to add and subtract that on the same side. All right, so then I still have y divided by 3. This can be factored down into a x minus 1 squared. Okay, and then here I have 4 minus 1 is going to be a positive 3. Now again, when we're writing the equation in the vertex form, we want the y to be isolated. So to get rid of this y, being divided by 3, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. So everything times 3, and what that's now going to give me is a y equals a 3 times x minus 1 quantity squared plus 9. So the vertex is going to be at 1, 9. So that's going to be your x-coordinate of your turning point, and then the y-intercept, or the y-coordinate, which is going to be 9 from there. What is the unit circle? Andre, if you don't need to know, don't ask the questions for you. Hopefully you will get there in your math eventually. It is a very helpful way for us to be able to answer many trigonometric questions, but I don't want to overly confuse you or get into details that you don't need to currently know. Hey, PogChamps, could you factor out the Y? You could factor out the Y, I guess. Um, that could be a simplified form. It really kind of depends, I guess, from there. Here's my favorite video to help me help you. Oh, awesome. Yes, Melinda, it definitely can be a pain to remember. That's why I recommend, or at least the way I teach it, is for students just to remember the first quadrant. And if you guys can focus on understanding the first quadrants, you can always apply that information to all the other quadrants from there. Well, hello, William J. Clinton and Sputter. I am doing very well. Thank you so much. I do still teach. Yes, I am. We just finished our school year last week, was the students last week, and then this Monday was like the teachers last day. So I am all done with schools. I turned in my key, so I am all set, ready for the summer. But you know what, guys, I do got a little confession to make. I'm a nerd. I immediately am done with the school year, and I'm just thinking about next school year. I mean, that's the way my brain operates. I am thinking about how I want to teach things, how I want to, what kind of videos, what kind of content I want to make. I created some new math channels. Like my brain is just thinking that way. Like that is where I'm going. That's what I am like kind of focused and obsessed about right now. So, yeah. So I like to I have to like force myself to get away and focus on other things, because if it was just left to me, I would want to be constantly working on my YouTube channel, and the math content and creating my, school year and creating documents and everything like that. So yes, I'm a big nerd. If you haven't already noticed, I mean, it's not like I don't do math each and every day. I am planning on, as I mentioned, for the summer, I'm definitely working on some more content for the upcoming school year. Planning on also going to visit some family, spending some time, not having anything planned. I mean, I think that's the one thing I love about the summer is going to bed on Sunday and not having to wake up on Monday morning. So I'm definitely going to enjoy that. That's also one of the things, for these live streams. I'm like, if you guys look at my past live streams, like, all right, guys, I got to go to bed. I got stuff I got to grade. I got lesson plans I got to make. And then I got to teach, tomorrow. Like, I mean, that's kind of like my MO. So I'm definitely just going to enjoy a lot of the time where I don't have to be, at school tomorrow, which is often the case for me. Our school's plan to reopen in the summer. I think a lot of students are going to have. I think a lot of students are doing, schooling over the summer. My school. I mean, we're not open. I think my district is doing some summer school, but we're not. I don't think we're doing anything special for that. But I do know our school is planning on going back to pre-COVID like precautions, like almost everything. So there still is obviously an online component, but I think in general our district is trying to make the back to school as like basically going back to like the pre-pandemic, the way things were. How hard is pre-calc honors? I don't know. It all depends on your kind of root of knowledge and where you kind of come from. I mean, there's a lot of components into that. My son's getting ready for 8th grade. Needs math touch-up and algebra and fractions. So you can go to us. Well, yeah. I think a lot of students are in the exact same thing. A lot same kind of framework is, they might have picked up some things this year, and there's definitely some things that are like, that did not make any sense to me, or I did not kind of grasp that. I think the main thing is not to treat it as like a crutch, like, oh, you can't learn what you're supposed to learn because of last year, because you didn't learn that during COVID, because you didn't learn that during online. We can definitely get our students caught back up in a timely and speedy manner. And I think we can definitely still move forward. And I don't think we need to hold students back, or we don't need to slow down things or reteach things. I think it is very important to kind of hold the bar high and to give students the resources and the support that they need so we can keep on moving forward. But, there's I think it's definitely true that there was a lot of loss of learning in general, but I don't think that is like I don't think it's across the board for every single student and for every single different type of content. So I think it's really important to acknowledge there obviously was some lost learning, but also to say like, hey, we got to do what we got to do to give students the resource and support, and we got to start moving forward. Because in my opinion, I don't want to look back in 2022 and be like, oh, this is another 2021. Like this year sucked, and it was a very difficult for everybody. That's and very personally hard for a lot of students. So I think it's really important that we um, do what we need to do to make sure that students can get the most out of the school year and not have to kind of repeat another year from here. And again, there's always going to be things that are going to be out of our control. There's always going to be things that we can only do so much for. But I think going with that mindset is going to be the most important. All right. Please stop spamming. Yeah, guys, no spam. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the live stream again. Congratulations, class of 2021. I think your ability to be able to finish this year with a little smile on your face and knowing that you accomplished something that no other class could ever even compare to, at least in my recent knowledge, is an amazing thing. And I hope that the video that I made for you guys is something that's beneficial, and I hope these live streams have been helpful for you guys throughout this year. Even though you might not be in class of 2021, I am very, very proud of all of you that were able to finish the year in college, university, as parents, as students. It was an extremely difficult year, and I share that struggle with you. And I think it's important that we celebrate and congratulate ourselves for at least crossing that finish line, even if it might not have been the year that we wanted, even if we might not have got the outcome that we wanted. I think it's very important that we acknowledge what we have accomplished, and I think it's amazing. So congratulations, guys. My voice is going out, so I am going to sign off. Have an excellent week, guys. If you do have questions next week, go ahead and submit your questions onto my chat in Discord or in my or my Google form, and I'll be happy to answer your questions next week. All right, guys. Have a great one. Cheers.